Good morning. I just wanted to review some tips for going over your colored pencil. Some things that I'm noticing is that you guys are doing an excellent job blending your colors, but what I'm not seeing are some shadows to show like where the wing is overlapping or the shadow under like a belly. And I'm not quite seeing as much of the highlights. Now I haven't fully gone in here, but if this is the shadow, it means my light's coming from this direction, which means that I would want to emphasize my lights on the top of this bumblebee back here. And I would want to go ahead and emphasize that to show that the light is coming down from here and that the shadows are being cast this way. So it's really important to help your designs look 3D. So what I've done is I've sketched in really lightly my flower down here. And I like to start by putting in some of my shadows. So if I'm looking at the center of this flower, it's the edges of that center where all the little pollen and the stamen are, which probably has an official name. So you'll notice that in many of the places I'm putting the red, but I'm putting it darker in some spots. Now I'm gonna come in and layer with some purples because the general color of this is an orange. So you wanna kind of mix in your colors and think about where does it need, the shadows need to be emphasized. And now I'm gonna start to layer in some of my orange. And you'll notice that I'm coloring in an up and down stroke because that's the texture of this piece. So if it was a smooth surface, I would color in that direction. And I'm gonna layer that in, and I'm gonna come in with some yellow. And I'm gonna come in with a different yellow. What you have to remember is that because we're working on the cardboard, it is gonna change the colors from like what you see. And then I need to think about where is this lighter. And so you'll see that those purples and the reds that I put underneath, they're really show a nice shadow. They don't really look necessarily purpley anymore, but they have a nice dark shadow because the colors combine. So when you use colors opposite each other, they make really nice shadows. What I want you to also remember is that we are making an artwork. It's not a photorealistic, it's not a photographic representation. You know, if we wanted a perfect photographic representation, we would just print it out and plop it on there. So as I'm working on the petals, this is one thing that I see a lot when I see students do flowers, is that all the petals end up looking remotely the same, and we're not really seeing the shadowy parts. So when you're working with white, you can really add little whispers of any color. This is a white daisy, so I'm gonna go in a little bit of blues and purples. Now this petal here is underneath that one, okay? So I'm gonna start by putting in my base coat. You'll notice I'm not always consistent. Sometimes I start with my shadow, sometimes I don't. But to show that this petal is underneath, it needs some kind of shadow. So I'm gonna come in here along that edge, and I'm not outlining it. I'm putting in that shadow. I'm gonna come in even closer if I can make this work without getting too much shadow in here. And I'm fading it out into the white there. And I'm gonna come in with a little bit of the blue. And then I'm gonna come back in more with some white so that I can blend that in. And you're gonna kind of go back and forth, but it's just a tiny little gentle shadow that shows that that petal's underneath. Because if all of your petals show up the same way, and the same color, it's all just going to start to look like one big giant blob. So it's really important to be able to train your eyeballs to see those little shadows and highlights. And you should start to notice that in the world around you. Pay attention to how the light hits things. Become a good observer. Those are things that the world just becomes more interesting when you can look at things up close and just have some good curiosity. So you can see that my flower is starting to come alive here. And it's not just solid white. I'm really overemphasizing some of the colors, and you could do that. See how that nice purple and blue in there mixes? And it gives it like a really nice, just kind of tint. I actually feel like I want to put a little more of that in here because look at how beautiful that color looked. It just gave it a little bit of a cast because I drew with the green color pencil to outline because I didn't feel like searching for a pencil. I don't have as many supplies at home as I do at school, so I am making do. Just remember that Crayola color pencils will also do blending. They're not going to do it as softly. I know many of you borrowed some of the good color pencils before we left, so hopefully you're finding that advantageous. And also remember that the colors aren't going to be the same as they would be on a white piece of paper. Also note that I did post and I sent an email to the entire school drawing challenge for you guys. I'm going to do a daily art challenge and have some art supply awards. I don't know if I'll have them like mailed directly to your house or how we'll figure out the logistics of distributing prizes. But each day, if you win the challenge by having a nice creative design, you get a point, and at 10 points, you'll get some kind of prize. So we're going to do that the whole time that we're out. And there will probably be multiple points awarded per day. It just really, I don't know, we're kind of figuring out as we go. So that's what I wanted to show you. So I want you to go back and evaluate your drawings that you have and make sure that they're starting to come alive and you can see the shadows. You know, what is underneath, what is above, where is it lighter, where is it darker. So where it's lighter, this is a highlight, this is a shadow. These are shadows under here because it's underneath. So I want to see some more of that in your sketchbook covers. I hope you have an excellent day. Bye-bye.